In the small town of Ikwo, Ebonyi State, a young man's life is forever changed by a series of family tragedies. Buka's family was once a happy and thriving one. His father, Ikachukwu, was a hardworking farmer who provided for his family's needs. His mother, Neoma, was a kind and caring woman who took care of the household chores and raised their children. But when Ikachukwu fell ill, the family's fortunes began to change. They began to take the father from one hospital to another until the last one, where the father got medical care but he spent a lot of his fortune on his health. He was diagnosed with a chronic disease that required expensive treatment, and the family savings were quickly depleted. Things became a little tough for the family, so the mother had to resolve in selling food as a food vendor. Neoma tried to make ends meet by selling food and drinks at the local market, but it wasn't enough. The family's house, which was once clean and well-maintained, began to fall into disrepair. Buka, who was then in his final year of secondary school, felt the weight of his family's struggles. He began to wonder if he would be able to finish his education, or if he would have to drop out to support his family. So many challenges were faced by the family, the hustling was much, and suddenly the family faced a terrible blow. Buka lost the mother, and it was so terrible that no one knew what to do. The one became so silent, everyone was dazzled with the news. They haven't recovered from the sickness of the father, and another blow to the family. After his mother's death, Buka's life began to spiral out of control. He dropped out of school and started looking up for a way to go with his life. He started hanging out with a group of young men who made their living through crime. At first, Buka was hesitant to get involved in crime. But as he saw how much money his friends were making, he began to feel tempted. Buka's greed didn't allow him abstain from his friends even when he knew they were doing illegal things for money. Buka has started giving the thought some considerations. One day, Buka's friends approached him with a proposal. They had heard about a wealthy businessman who lived in a nearby town, and they planned to rob him. Buka was hesitant at first, but his friends convinced him to join them. They promised him a share of the loot, and Buka couldn't resist the temptation. He was already thinking he could make some quick cash from the move, but he was scared of the outcome. The robbery was a success, and Buka's friends gave him a share of the money. But as he looked at the cash in his hands, Buka felt a pang of guilt. He knew that what he had done was wrong, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he had let his family down. Despite his reservations, Buka continued to get deeper and deeper into crime. He started selling drugs and stolen goods, and he even began to participate in armed robberies. Buka's friends had become like a family to him, and he felt a sense of loyalty to them. But as he looked around at the life he had built, Buka couldn't help but feel a sense of emptiness. He had lost sight of his values and his sense of purpose. He had become a shadow of his former self, and he didn't know how to escape the life he had chosen. Buka found himself thinking so much cause he wasn't happy with the life he was living, so sometimes when he was called for an operation, Buka pretended to be sick, and gradually his friends began to suspect he had an intention but never wanted to speak out. One day, Buka received a call from an unknown number. It was a woman's voice, and she claimed to have information about his mother's death. Buka's heart skipped a beat as he listened to the woman's words. Could it be true? Could his mother's death have been more than just a tragic accident? Buka's mind was racing with questions and doubts. He didn't know what to believe or who to trust. But he knew one thing for sure: he had to get to the bottom of the mystery. And so, Buka set out on a journey to uncover the truth about his mother's death. It was a journey that would take him deeper into the world of crime and farther away from the life he once knew. Buka's search for the truth about his mother's death led him to a surprising discovery. The woman who had called him was a former police officer who had been investigating a string of mysterious deaths in the area. She revealed to Buka that his mother's death was not an accident, but a murder. The killer was a powerful and ruthless man who had been using his wealth and influence to cover up his crimes. Buka was shocked and outraged by the revelation. He vowed to bring the killer to justice, no matter the cost. Buka's quest for justice led him to confront the killer, who was revealed to be none other than Chief Okachukwu, the wealthy and influential man who had been helping him. Buka was devastated by the betrayal. He felt like he had been living a lie, and that everyone he trusted had been deceiving him. But he refused to back down. He confronted Chief Okachukwu, who confessed to the crime. He told him he didn't know it was his mother and that's how he gets his wealth. Chief Okachukwu gave him an offer of a huge amount to keep his mouth shut. He felt this is the point he had to stop the wrong life he had been living. Buka worried about his thought of either collecting the money from Chief, but he felt a negative feeling towards the offer. Buka wasn't happy he had been swimming in an ocean of crime and he had not been caught. He thought for himself that while he has been following dies his friend they haven't been caught or killed, but he knew he won't last if he continued with such a life, so he has to stop the life and retrace his step. Buka rejected Chief's offer and reported him to the authorities, and he was arrested and charged with murder. Buka's quest for justice had finally brought him closure. He had brought his mother's killer to justice, and he had found a sense of redemption. He realized that he had been given a second chance, and he vowed to use it to make a positive impact on his community. Buka finally cut ties with those his friends and planned on leaving the community to start up afresh. Buka returned to school and finished his education. He became a successful businessman and used his wealth and influence to help others. He never forgot the lessons he had learned on his journey. He knew that the past could not be changed, but the future could be shaped. Buka went to the community during a parade and he was told of some shocking news of some of his friends who they had been into crimes together was killed during a robbery, and one was arrested but died of gun wounds. Tears dropped from Buka's eyes because he had told them of stopping the crimes and finding an alternative means of livelihood, but they never listened to him. Buka thought he would have been one of them if he hadn't retraced his step. It was so painful because they had been like a family. The news didn't go well with Buka, so he had hurriedly left the community cause it brought so much pain to him. He thought of the pain he went through during the illness of his father and the mother's death also. He had so many terrible memories of the village. It wasn't a pleasant one, so he had to prepare to leave the community immediately. Buka's story is a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity. It shows that no matter how dark the past may seem, there is always hope for a brighter future.